So it's August 2022. What's going on in the real estate market? Rates and inventory. So let's talk about rates for a little bit. Right now, rates have come down a little bit off their peak. They're probably looking about 5.5 from their peak highs, about 6. Nationally, I think you're somewhere in the low fives, and we'll talk about where they're probably going to go. The other thing people are talking about is recession. Are we in a recession? What's it going to do to the housing market? Well, out of the last 6 recessions, only 2 of them have caused declines in the housing market, and one of them was 2008, which, come on, let's face it, it was caused by the housing market there. One thing that happens a lot with recessions, with interest rates, is they do usually go down. The Feds will stop looking to curb inflation because there won't be as much activity going on, so then rates usually come down from that. Usually, who knows if that's there. The other thing that we're always hearing is inventory and supply. Well, right now, we still have not seen a dramatic amount of new inventory come on the market, but we have seen more supply because things are staying on the market a little bit longer. You're going to see that the inventory amount is down, but available properties is up. And we'll talk a little bit about what makes a buyer's market, what makes a seller's market. Lending standards are definitely a lot higher than they were in 2008, which is a big reason why we're probably not going to see, the environment that we had back in 08 and 09. Once again, that we're not going to see back in 08, 09 is the foreclosure activity is down a lot. A lot of people that went into forbearance during the pandemic got themselves out, worked on out with the bank, sold the property at a big profit, with price appreciation and inflation going on. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. So what makes a buyer's market? What makes a seller's market? Buyer's market's probably about 7 months or more of inventory. Seller's market's about 6 months or less of inventory. Neutral market's probably about 6 or 7. I think right now we're still running in that 2 to 3 month range, which is more than what we had 6 months ago, but it's nowhere near crossing over into that buyer's market territory, but it is stabilizing a lot as we're going around. Back to mortgage rates, which dictate a lot, to the overall housing market. The projections for this year is they're probably going to end up somewhere in the low fives by the time everything is done. Now, we didn't think rates would hit 6 in June, but right now this is where they're kind of thinking. There was a quote put out by Joel Kahn from CNBC. There could be a potential silver lining to the housing market, he added, as stabilizing mortgage rates and rising inventory may bring back some buyers to the market during the second half of the year. A lot of people that we took out were frustrated. They said, okay, we want to buy a home, but we're competing against 10 other people. They're going $100,000 over asking price. They're waiving all contingencies, and it just wasn't a fun environment to be in. That has slowed down dramatically. You don't see that much going on anymore. Every now and then, but not on every property. So that's bringing people back in, coming in, as they're getting adjusted to these new rates, and they're saying, okay, this is what it's going to cost me. I can still afford to buy a home. I have some money saved. I'm in a good economic position. My job is secure. I'm looking to buy a home. So when we go through, that is where our buyers are coming back. There still is a lot of money in the system. And the reality of it is that there's not going to be no inventory being sold. There's just going to be a little less inventory. Right now, it's projected that there'll be 5.1 million homes sold in the U.S. Just to give you a little comparison, prior to the pandemic, the average was about 5.3 million. Obviously, we had 6.1 last year and 5.6 in 2020, the increase in the housing market. But we're pretty close to where the averages were. So, should you buy a home today? I think you should. Rates are still 5.5. That's a great interest rate. Pre-pandemic, they were 4.5 to 4 3/4. It's 1% higher. It's a lot better than what they had back with the 16 and 17% interest rates and all of that. But if you're going to be in a home more than a few years, 5 years, 10 years, and you can afford the monthly payment, you're getting into a fixed mortgage, great, buy the property if it works for you. If it doesn't, don't force yourself. But I think it is a great time to get in there. There's a little less competition, some less bidding wars. You can get your inspection contingency in there. And you know what? When you're going to sell, you are getting qualified buyers. The banks are definitely stricter in what they're looking for and criteria for people to purchase, which then creates a better transaction overall. Okay? We talk about lending standards. Right now, lending standards are probably at their best of where they are, which is going to avoid meltdowns. When we see these price appreciations come in, some of these markets went crazy, double, triple. A home that was $250,000 is now $600,000. We didn't see that here. We saw that $500,000 home be worth $600,000, maybe even $650,000. So if we do see some price declines, probably not going to see a huge amount like in other areas that had such a high run up. I think we came off our peak a little bit, and we're going to dribble a little bit. Homes that are renovated, in good shape, have good flow, good backyard, on a good block, will probably still go over asking price, have multiple offers. The homes that need work, back the highway, small rooms, whatever the case may be, they're going to be a little bit more challenging. They'll sell, but they're not going to sell these crazy numbers. So the main thing is, if you're looking to sell your home, we got to look at pricing, we got to look at marketing, we got to look at staging. What can we do to get the most money out of the property? If you're looking to buy, make sure you get a good quality, interest rate. You're having a good process. You're getting a home that you're comfortable in, that you're not going to outgrow in a year, and you'll be in good shape. So if you have any questions, need anything, feel free to reach out.